morning to you. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Art Lewis Show. Today, we're going to spend some time talking about food, food insecurity, food deserts, all that good stuff. And we do that with the CEO of the United Way of Bay County, and she is Nicole Luchek. Good morning, Nicole.
Good morning, Art. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. Glad to have you. I think before we get into some of these topics about food and everything, for somebody who lives in a shell and has no idea what a United Way of Bay County does, give us the overview.
Sure. So if you've been living in a shell for the past 95 plus years that we've been serving Bay County, I mean, that's okay. We'll start from there. So United Way is kind of that umbrella anchor nonprofit for Bay County. So we have 4 different impact areas. We do a community assessment every year, and we figure out what the biggest needs are in those areas. We leverage partnerships, corporate, any kind of key stakeholders, donors, volunteers, other nonprofit partners, and we try to find long-term solutions to those community problems. So we do a lot of things, a very wide scope of work. We also have a lot of direct services because we look at what those gaps are. So whatever resources we don't have in our community, how can we fill those?
Glad you started and mentioned it that way, because the whole point of it was the United Way is more than just a handout of money.
Absolutely.
Now, it may be a big portion of what you do, but you do so much more.
We definitely try to strengthen those other nonprofits that are addressing the needs that we find, but we partner with them to collaborate and do so much more. And then, like I said, fill those gaps. So we have food programs, transportation programs. We provide free tax preparation. We have a diaper pantry at our office. And every local United Way is different. So when I speak, I'm speaking on Bay County's behalf. But every local United Way, that's the great thing, is you can leverage this huge international nonprofit, but we actually hone down to what each community's needs are. So what Saginaw needs might not be what Bay County needs, where the gaps and resources are in northern Michigan might not be the same here. So we can really have that small town community feel too.
The other thing United Way was always known for was you could take $1 and multiply its benefit.
Absolutely. So when you look at a lot of what we do, we were just talking about our workplace campaigns, right? So taking $1 out of your paycheck, a lot of people work at companies that participate in our workplace campaign. But when you take that, you are affecting so much more than what you think by giving $1 a paycheck, right? That if you get paid weekly, it's $52 a year, you barely notice it. But when you add that up with everybody else's, and then you think about what we do with that and how many things we impact with it, we do a little activity that we take out where we put all these different needs up on the wall. So food and literacy programs and domestic violence and all of these different needs in the community. And we ask people, we give them $2 bills, and we ask them to put their dollar bills on the need that they want to help with. And they struggle, right? Because they want to help with all of them. And the whole point of it is when you give to United Way, you are helping all of those 50-some needs that are up on the wall. Because we stretch that dollar. We are what makes it efficient, what makes it making sure that everything that those dollars go to, we vet all of those programs and make sure they're using your dollars right and making the most impact with it.
The workplace programs, are they as strong as they used to be?
They are not. There's been a lot of changes, especially post-COVID, the thing we never want to talk about again. But
right.
But that changed a lot. That sent a lot of people to work home remote. A lot of people jump from workplace to workplace. You don't see people that have 30 years in the same place anymore, so we lose contact with them, except for you, Art. So they definitely have changed a little bit, and we really encourage people to give just independently. Individuals can donate to United Way, even as a monthly recurring gift as well. So we do also have some grants and other revenue sources, but definitely looking at how we can grow workplace campaigns or get individuals donating on their own.
All right, so one of the topics that was going to be discussed today is food insecurity. That's a big overriding term. When we say food insecurity, what do we mean?
So this one is near and dear to me. So my My degree is actually in dietetics, as a nutrition.
Oh, is it really?
And before I came to United Way, I worked for the Food Bank of Eastern Michigan. So,
oh, no kidding.
yeah. So this one, even though we have this wide scope of what we do at United Way, this one is always one that's very close to my heart. So when we talk about food insecurity, we talk about not being sure where your next meal might come from. It might mean not being able to access affordable food or nutritious food. And
Oh, wait. Affordable food. We're all
right,
in that
right,
boat.
right. That's all of us right now. And it's a lot more people than what you think that are actually food insecure. So this is more of our population than you might think, and in different demographics than what you might think that are actually food insecure right now, which is wild to think in a country like this and as developed as this, that we have people that are hungry.
But I have to ask this question. Are there more of them? Have things changed, or have we just come up with a new term?
I think that there's more of them. So we talk about ALICE. I think we've talked about that on the show before, but ALICE is a term that stands for asset limited, income constrained, and employed. And so these are working families that are living paycheck to paycheck, but sometimes if an emergency happens, they can't afford that, and it kind of throws them into a spiral, and they can't afford those basic necessities. So our poverty population, which would be below the federal poverty level, is kind of staying stagnant. The people in that ALICE threshold and that population is growing.
And it's interesting that the poverty level keeps going up.
Mm-hmm. So in the federal poverty level for 2026 for a family of four, the federal poverty level is $33,000. The actual survival budget for a family of four right now is over $76,000.
Yeah, I was going to say those
Big
numbers
gap.
don't match. Yeah.
Big gap. We also have our baby boomer generation is also growing, and they're the fastest growing, becoming more food insecure and not being able to afford basic necessities. So in Bay County, 48% of those 65 and over cannot afford basic necessities. That's very disproportionate to our entire population.
And is there an answer?
There's some answers. So we have, Department on Aging does Meals on Wheels. We have different programs for that population. There's a lot of transportation barriers. We have a transportation program at United Way that provides rides to food, so food distributions, grocery stores, and it's specifically for those 60 and better. So we try to find solutions for that, but it continues to grow because what they're living off of just is not enough as the cost of living raises. So we've seen the two biggest drivers of this are food and housing. So we have seen food rise by 40-some%, and housing has risen by 99%, almost doubled.
If you can find any.
Yep.
That's a significant hiccup in the future. And, when you think about it, 20, 30 years ago, you could build a starter home well under $100 a square foot. You could build a nice 1,500 square foot home and probably sell it for $150,000, which was a starter home.
Mm-hmm.
That home today is $450,000.
Yep.
And 300 plus per square to build if you're going to build.
Mm-hmm.
So food insecurity is certainly strong, but housing is a major issue.
It is a major issue. And one of the things that we run into a lot is people who are renting that does not, even if they rent for 20 years and they pay their rent on time every month for those 20 years, it does not affect their credit score or improve it. It has no... So even if somebody's really working towards that, and it's hard with state assistance too. If somebody is below that federal poverty level and they're getting state assistance and they're renting and they're trying to save up to buy a house, they can't have those assets in their name or they will lose their state assistance.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of challenges, a lot of barriers to trying to become stable.
A lot of barriers. But the food insecurity one, at least, there are a number of programs around. There are a number of feeding places and enough food distribution that you should be able to get what you need, at least in basics.
Yeah. There's a lot. So we have a food council in Bay County that meets monthly. So all of the soup kitchens and food pantries, any of the organizations that deal with this, all meet once a month and talk about all of those needs and where there are gaps and how we can fill them together. And that's that's very beneficial. But there's still barriers to that. There's transportation barriers to get to these places. We have one that will deliver non-perishable food. There's dietary restrictions, so a lot of people don't think about if you have celiac disease, if you're a diabetic, if you have high blood pressure. These foods don't always meet what you need.
And the other side of it is the person, 60 plus population that may be in this food insecurity area probably has a whole bunch of other insecurities to go along with it.
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
usually not just one.
Yep. If you don't know where your next meal is coming from, you likely are have other needs for resources.
All right, we're talking to Nicole Luchek. She is the CEO of United Way of Bay County. We're going to take a break, and we will be back with more.
Campaign season is funny.
And we're back with you talking to Nicole Luchek. She is the CEO of United Way of Bay County. So we talk about food insecurities. Does the United Way of Bay County have programs tailored for that?
We do. So one of those gaps that we noticed was that we have a SNAP program, which is Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program with the state of Michigan, but that uses that federal poverty line for income qualifications. So we noticed that there was a lot of people who were being denied SNAP benefits but still couldn't afford food. So we look at that as our what we call the benefits cliff. So when you get cut off from state assistance, but you still can't afford basic necessities and you're in that ALICE threshold, that's when somebody falls off that benefits cliff. So we tried to fill in that gap. So there's 2 out of 5 people who are food insecure who do not qualify for SNAP benefits. We started a program called Food Forward, and this works very similar to the SNAP program, but it's for those in the ALICE threshold. So it's those who don't qualify for SNAP. They make a little bit too much. And so that program provides them what we call a PEX card, which is like a Visa MasterCard, looks like a debit card. And then we have approved vendors where they can go and buy groceries. So we partner with Jack's Fruit Market in Bay County for those right now.
So what do they get with that card? Discounts?
So they actually get benefits loaded onto that card. So the average cost of groceries right now for a family of 4 is $1,400 a month. Right? So unless you have a 16-year-old boy like I do, and then it's like, $3,000. But we take their household compilation, how many people are in their house, what ages, and we have a formula that we use, and we provide a percentage of what their average cost of groceries is on that card. So they just have those dollars to spend on fresh meat and produce.
Limited, I was going to ask, is it limited to what they can buy?
So the only limits are no tobacco or alcohol. Besides that, we do not put restrictions on that. We recognize that there's things that there's celebrations. There's things that you're gonna have a barbecue. You can buy a bag of potato chips. Your kid has a birthday. You should be able to buy a cake mix, right? So we do not put specific restrictions on those types of things. But we also provide one-on-one financial coaching for those families. So they come in and they set goals for themselves financially. We provide one-on-one coaching for them to help them reach those goals so that we can work them hopefully into a place of self-sustainability. But we've had a lot of positive feedback from this program. We've had people who were kind of making it, but eating less nutritious food, had some health issues. Their health has improved because of it. They can actually pay other bills, because that's what happens when you're food insecure or when you have any other needs, is you're juggling. Do you keep the lights on, or do you buy food, or do you buy your prescriptions? What kind of food do you buy? Is it nutritious? Or are you buying the cheapest food possible, and then your health deteriorates? So that program has been very helpful.
So where do you find the recipients, or do they find you?
So a lot of them actually, when we were talking about workplace campaigns, this is where kind of United Way comes full circle with our community, is a lot of our referrals come from workplaces. So workplaces, there's no company or no business that does not employ Alice. There's jobs in any sector that provide wages that are just not quite enough to make it. So a lot of our referrals actually come from those workplaces because they see that it helps them retain employees. If they give somebody, one that we see a lot is that somebody will get $1 or $2 raise an hour, and employers think that they're doing something great. The employees should be really proud, and they are. But it also pushes them over that benefits cliff and they lose their benefits. So we try to educate employers about that happening and what they can do and what kind of resources we can provide until they work themselves up that ladder a little bit more and become self-sustainable and then can be off of our program. So a lot of the referrals come from there. We also do have a form on our website, so somebody can refer themselves and answer the questions that are on there, and somebody from our office will call them back.
So if the federal minimum for a family of 4 is $33,000, someone making $40,000 is in that no man's land, isn't they?
Yep. And depending on the assistance program, sometimes they'll use a percentage of them. So like health insurance, like Medicaid or food, they'll use a percentage of the federal poverty level. So some of them might be a little bit higher, but definitely not where the survival budget is at $76,000 for a family of 4.
Yeah, that's a scary number, 76.
It is.
And it's grown.
Yeah.
And it keeps growing.
Yeah. You'd need 2 people working full time, making a $40,000.
Which we don't have time to talk about the consequences of that.
Sure.
In terms of raising children.
Yep. Yep. Because then you get into the child care issue and, all of these.
Then comes back to United Way.
Yep. It really does. All of these things fit together. You can't address one thing. You can't address, we talk about homelessness a lot. You cannot address that without addressing substance use disorder or food insecurity or, there's so many things that all fit together, and that's really where United Way comes in. We pull all of those pieces together because we have to address all of them, or else one thing isn't going to work. We can put everybody who's unhoused. People want to use like old malls, right? So, we could just use that and put everybody there. Well, if they still have mental health issues, if they still have substance use disorder issues, we still have to feed them. We still need to provide them health insurance and health care. You're just putting them in a different place. So you're providing a roof, but you're not providing all of those other things that you need to address to make them long-term solutions.
If somebody's in that no man's land and they think they need help, but they don't work for an employer that tells you about it or anything else, how do they apply?
So they could go on our website and apply. They can come into our office. They can call our office. We have people who work for us that are called community resource navigators, and they can help with any of those needs. So if somebody calls and they need help with rent or they're looking at the food program that we have, they actually do an assessment of them to figure out what all of their needs are, and then they help connect them either to existing resources or to our resources and figure out how they can address all of those needs. And then they follow up with them. So they form a relationship with them. People will, start trusting them and telling them all their needs and setting goals with them. Because the goal really is that I always say Band-Aids, like we don't want to do Band-Aid fixes. So, we can give somebody a bus pass, we can give somebody a box of food, but that's not a long-term solution to what they really need. So these navigators really help. They help with barriers. If somebody doesn't have internet access or doesn't know how to fill out an application, to provide the documentation. So they kind of work with them hand in hand and work with them through all of those needs and then follow up with them and make sure that they're coming out being self-sustainable.
And many of them probably need help just filling out the applications.
Absolutely. It's complicated, and even for state assistance, it's completely online now.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break, come back. We're talking to Nicole Luchek. She is CEO of United Way of Bay County. We'll be back.
Ready to update your home and
back with you, talking to Nicole Luchek, CEO of the United Way of Bay County. I want to just move away from food for a moment. want to go back to when you first came on board the United Way of Bay County. And you said your dietetics was your degree?
Yes.
Did you practice for a while?
So when I was in the program at CMU, I worked at what's now My Michigan Hospital in Clare, and I was a diet tech. So I did rounds and worked underneath the registered dietitians. I learned actually while I was doing that and finishing my degree that I hated clinical dietetics.
How those things happen.
It was the definition of insanity to me, because people would come in having had a heart attack. I would do rounds. We'd talk about sodium. We'd talk about their diet, and then I might see them one more time before they're discharged, and then I wouldn't see them again until they had another heart attack. And I just thought, I can't do this for my whole life. But I also had the opportunity when I was there to plan their diabetes expo and health fairs, and I taught the pre-diabetes classes and taught about nutrition. And so when I graduated, my first job was actually teaching nutrition in low-income schools. So I taught in K-5 classrooms in low-income schools. So they had to be 50% or more reduced or free school lunches. And I absolutely loved it. Seeing the difference we could make in kids, which then actually made adults change their way of eating, because when kids go to the grocery store and they're begging for a jicama because they tried it in nutrition class, parents would have to read labels because they told them how to read labels. So it was awesome.
Ever remember begging for a
Jicama? No. Most adults don't even know what it is.
No, I still am a lousy eater. It's interesting because I'm in that type 2 class, but my numbers have always been decent. 6'2" is where I seem to sit.
Okay.
And I don't watch what I eat, never have. And I know it's bad, I know it's wrong, but I enjoy every bite. So I'm not a good subject to point out to how it's done.
But you have
alone.
a choice of that too, right? You have a choice of nutritious foods,
Yes,
and
I do.
you make that choice, which I wish everybody had at least the choice to make.
That's true. And I don't deny that. That's absolutely true. Anyhow, so I'm curious, when you finally realized that you really hated your degree and you came to United Way, first of all, what brought you to United Way, and how has it changed since you've been there?
So I was with the Food Bank of Eastern Michigan before I came
So
to
you
United
still
Way.
were food
I was
associated.
still food associated, and I love the Food Bank of Eastern Michigan and what we do, and got to go out to a lot of pantries and soup kitchens and food distributions, and I saw a lot of people. I loved doing when you have a food distribution and people come through that line to get food, you have them mark their name down and how many people are in their household. And that was my favorite job, because people in the cars would tell you their story. A lot of times they would open up and they would tell you what was going on. And so I don't think I ever left one without crying. But I learned a lot, and
Makes you part psychologist.
Right. And I started wondering, though, how do we help more than that? So when I talk about the Band-Aid fixes that I don't want to have at United Way, and we need those instant fixes, right? They need that food. So those organizations are necessary, but I kept thinking, but how can I help more? How can I help them not have to come back to this food distribution next month? And so the foundation of United Way and the mission behind United Way really spoke to me. And so when they had an opening in Bay County, for the Food Bank of Eastern Michigan, I covered 5 counties, but I'm from Bay County. And so when a position opened there, I went and talked to the CEO that was there at the time, and really started inquiring about what they did and what that mission was, and how we could help this broader and more long-term solutions. And so that's really what drew me in, even though that my degree was really focused on nutrition, but that's only one piece of the puzzle, is what I learned. So I really wanted to be able to affect the long-term solutions.
Did you have CEO in your sights?
I did not. I did not. When I started, that was not my title. That was not my goal. But I had a lot of ideas of how we could grow. I knew we had a really good foundation, but I felt like we could do more in the community. And my ideas couldn't become reality. They kept getting turned down. And so I thought, well, put me in, coach. I guess I'll make the executive decisions. So I went for it when our CEO retired, and was able to implement some of those ideas, to say yes instead of no, to really, you talked about kind of that pass through, and that we're more than just raising dollars and giving that to nonprofits. And I think that's what has grown a lot. Our revenue has grown, our presence has grown, our engagement in the community has grown. Our Day of Caring, our goal for this year is 1,000 volunteers. So we're out in the community more. We're a lot more relevant, and we've really kind of pivoted from what that traditional model of a United Way is.
Is that model changing across the country?
Absolutely. The idea and what the relevancy was of United Way in the past was that we were going to have one fundraising organization in each community and then give those dollars out to other organizations. Reality is now there's nonprofit organizations that have bigger fund development teams than I do. That's not all we're good for, but there's gaps and there's connectors that need to be made between all of those things, because we know all of these issues are connected. So there's a lot of relevancy for us, but it's just not in what we were needed for before. We're needed for something different now. So that definitely is changing, and you'll see that change across a lot of local United Ways.
It's evolving.
Yes, absolutely. And you have to, right? We've been around for over 95 years in Bay County. We're not going to be able to use the same playbook we did 50 years ago, 90 years ago.
That is for sure.
I'm sure radio has changed since 1974, right?
Oh, you might say that.
Yep.
You might. Well, just technically, when I got in the radio, way back when, we had tape recorders, record players, cart machines. We had all that stuff. There is none of that in this studio. It is a computer. In this computer that sits to my right side is the entire station.
Yep. When I started only 7 years ago, we still used carbon copy pledge forms.
Yeah, right.
We still had a typewriter. So we've evolved.
Yeah, everything's evolved. And technology is, it's not the way of the future. It's here.
Right.
Everything is technological, and now we have AI to contend with.
Well, yeah, that's another
a whole
topic.
Another story. Yeah, we'll take a break here and be back with Nicole and more after these notes.
Big insurance, big pharma.
And we're back with you on the Art Lewis Show, talking to Nicole Luchek. She is the CEO of the United Way of Bay County. So we're going to circle back to where we started this discussion about food insecurity. How many programs right now is United Way involved in that have to do with food?
Well, our direct program is Food Forward, so that would be the one direct program we have that specifically.
And that's one you're running. It's your organization, right?
Yeah, but we fund other programs. So Hidden Harvest is one that's a well-known one and does great things.
I was on that board for 9 years.
They're fantastic, but they're rescuing food, right? So they're going out and getting food that otherwise would have gone to waste, and then repurposing it and taking it to agencies. So that is a program that we invest in and work very closely with. The Bay County Food Council also has probably 20 to 30 members. We have a lot of, smaller pantries and soup kitchens and things that are doing great work in Bay County and trying to make sure everybody's fed. Looking at how we can coordinate those and make sure people know where to go. You can always call 211 if you do need food, because they'll take your zip code and they know what hours everyone is open, and so they'll direct you to the closest food pantry and help you find where you can find food.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You had said something earlier about teaching people to get them off the dole, so to speak, and make them self-sufficient. And it reminded me of the rescue ministries in mid-Michigan, Saginaw and Bay City, because when they get someone off the streets into their program, their whole goal is to turn them around and make them self-sufficient, productive members of the community.
Absolutely.
And that really should be the goal of a lot of organizations.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, when I worked for the food bank, those immediate needs do need to be met, but then we need programs that couple with that that can teach people then how to stop needing that assistance, whether it's, finding employment services, whether it's figuring out budgets, whatever it is. But you got to couple those programs together. So we are a food bank agency. We do food distributions. We distributed 150,000 pounds of food last year in Bay County, but also then we can connect them to our other resources and to our navigators and our financial coaching and figuring out how to make them self-sustainable. So just like what they do, at Rescue Ministries is, okay, we need to house them, we need to feed them, but now how can we help them work themselves into their own apartments, which is one of my retirement gigs. I'm going to volunteer for their impact designs, just so you know.
Oh, good.
I'm going to help decorate the
Yeah.
apartments when they get to that self-sustainable. So I tell Dan all the time that's one of my retirement volunteer gigs.
Really, in terms of this radio station and this building, they're the charity we probably do the most with. 'Cause we run a radiothon every year. We're going to do a summer pledge period. We just have so much respect for Dan and what he does and how he does it, as well as the United Ways. I mean, because we can talk about this organization, that organization, but it takes all these organizations.
Yep.
It's not just one.
Not one single organization can do it all. So
Nobody can come close.
No. When we have new nonprofits pop up that think they're going to address every single need and be the end-all, be-all, it just doesn't work that way. Our partners are great partners because we know that we all need each other. We are not the experts in domestic violence or in homelessness or in any of those areas, but that's why we have partners like Rescue Ministries, like Bay Area Women's Center, like Hidden Harvest for food, because we know we can't do all of the things.
No, nobody can.
No.
Nobody can.
No.
It's and in this day and age, it's not become easier.
No, definitely not.
Let's talk about volunteers for a minute, because
Sure.
earlier you mentioned you'd like to get 1,000 of them. What do you do with them?
So our one big volunteer event, we use them throughout the year for different things, but our big event every year is Day of Caring. So that is, we know and we see that day how many people in our community really want to come out and help. We had 39 sites last year, so we have projects all across Bay County. We had over 800 volunteers sign up and come out and complete all these projects. So we do all kinds of things, from cleaning up city parks to planting flowers, to we painted the front of the Pinconning police station one year. So we try to find, we ask for project requests from nonprofits and municipalities and ask them what they need. And then we rally the volunteers together and we get all those projects done in one day, which is just an amazing thing to witness. It's one of the bucket filling days, I call it.
I'll leave you this final 30 seconds. Somebody wants to donate to United Way of Bay County. How do they do that?
Absolutely. So you can call us. You can go on our website. You can find us on social media. Our website is unitedwaybaycounty.org. You can also check with your workplace to see if they run workplace campaigns that will be starting in the fall.
Nicole, thanks for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Do it again.
Always enjoy being here.
Nicole Luchek, CEO of United Way of Bay County. And we'll be back to tell you what's ahead.
Campaign season is funny.